Hey filmmakers, Chung here. So this is my budget VTR or playback monitor setup. This main purpose of this is to record from a wireless video feed and enables us to watch a playback without the camera. Because sometimes the camera is positioned in a difficult spot to actually press the playback button, but also like certain cinema cameras records really big files and you need to swap multiple cards throughout the day, and this records mainly much smaller file sizes, and you can actually keep on recording throughout the day and enables you to go really far back into the files and check like an older shot and also like check the continuity of those, but also safer instead of having to swap to an older card. You might mistakenly format the wrong cards because you're swapping cards like that. So the main person who would be operating this setup is called a video assist or a VT operator. However, on lower budget shoots or lower budget film sets, it's most likely they might not have a dedicated person for this, and often a camera assistant would then set up this monitor and whole setup, and then it'd be a script supervisor who would be operating it and be the one pressing the record button, and also mainly make most use of the monitors because the script supervisor is the main person who checks the continuity. However, if you are on an even lower budget where there's no script supervisor, then this would double as a focus monitor and have basically the first AC press the record button and also use this as the monitor they focus pull with. And that is mainly how I use this setup. I use this as my focus station, but also as a playback monitor. So now let's go through all the parts that I've used. So let's first start at the receiver end. This is the accsoon CineView quad. The great thing about this one is I don't have to screw in the antennas. I can just flip them in and out, and it makes the setup of this receiver quite quick. And this receiver, I feel like it's quick enough to do like focus pulling with. But the great thing about this also is it has HDMI and SDI, and it can output from both of them. So this enables me to direct the SDI directly to the monitor, and I have the HDMI going into the Atomos Ninja V where I am recording the wireless video feed. With the Ninja V, I am recording on ProRes LT. However, a better version of codec would be the H.265. However, it does cost an additional cost of $99 US. However, it really depends. If I'm doing this more professionally, I might purchase that upgrade. However, right now I have a 1 terabyte SSD in here, which is quite enough for several days of recordings. So personally, it's not really needed yet. However, if it's really a feature film, then might be more of a possibility that I would upgrade it. However, it's more likely if it's a feature film that we would have money for like a much bigger setup than this budget setup. The HDMI out of here, I also looped into the seetec monitor. So this is a 13-inch seetec monitor, and it is of course much bigger than the Atomos Ninja V, which only has like a 5-inch monitor, and it is not big enough to really check like for continuity. While with a 13.3-inch monitor, it is nice and big to do that with and check out like small details if something is going something is not correct. For this to double as a proper focus monitor, I have the SDI in, so I don't have like an additional delay from the Ninja V. Especially if you add a LUT on the Ninja V, it will slow down or add an additional delay. But also I will notice there is a bit of an image quality difference if I look at the SDI quality compared to the HDMI. Great thing about the seetec is with just a quick button I can switch from HDMI to SDI. So we're now on HDMI, I can press on SDI, so we get a live feed of me filming here. So there is a slight delay, but not like a really extreme delay that I would have issue with focusing. So most of the jobs, like, I were able to focus quite well with this, but yeah, the slight hint of delay is not really that bad. And of course, if we need to go back to looking at a playback, we can just hit the HDMI. But let's first show you pressing this to go back to record. So now you can see this screen also shows you the image. So now we're recording a live playback of what is happening now. And we can also stop it and then hit play. So now I have to, of course, go back to the HDMI here. And then we get like a playback of what we just shot. And we can also like easily scroll through it, which is a big difference if you are looking at the playback from certain cameras. Often you only have fast forward and rewind. However, you don't have like a proper like scroll where you can scroll to like the certain point that you need. And of course we can pause for like certain areas, because if you get like the Atomos Ninja V only, it is like a really small screen. And yeah, the Shoguns is a little bit bigger, but it's not as big as a 13.3 inch. But if we go beyond this, you have to be looking at a Atomos Sumo, which will cost you much more than this whole setup. And also how I've set it up, it's all also working from just one battery. So we have a small rig battery plate, and under here we have the rods which connecting everything. Having everything powered from just one battery is also quite nice, because it means like if the battery dies, I don't need to have like multiple batteries. So I just have to replace this one battery with a different battery. And of course, right now this is just a really small battery, but I also have like the big 190 watt hour V-mounts, and that was most likely what I'm going to use for this. And a additional thing I could also add here is a extra transmitter. So I could look through the HDMI out of the monitor here of the seetec to a transmitter, and that transmits to a portable director's monitor, because then it for the playback, the director does not have to walk all the way to my focus station or this playback station, and he can actually just look at the playback on his director's monitor, because I'll just send it to him. However, that will add a bit of delay on his monitor. However, for the director, it shouldn't really matter that much for him to have a bit of delay. It's mostly for him to look at the image and check if everything is going right, and also to check the playback with us if he wants a playback that he can see it directly on his own monitor, instead of having to walk from across the set to my setup here. The main thing is like having, of course, the right connectors for it, like DC cables and all kinds of D-tap cables. But still, it is a quite not a difficult setup to make. But I do have to say, due to a lot of the parts on how it's rigged with the rails, those parts does take a lot of time to set up this setup at the start of the day, and also breaking down this setup at the end of the day, because you can't just lift this up and just put it into a single case. And that is the only drawback with this setup compared to if you would have like a Atomos Sumo with just a receiver and a transmitter. But personally, this is a budget setup to start with, and it is an interesting setup to have, and especially for me as a first AC to have to include into my setup, and also like list to like the productions that they can get like a yeah, playback monitor setup if they need it. And of course, like they would need to pay like an additional fee for it, but personally, like, it is a additional service I can offer as a first AC. So that was pretty much about my VTR or playback monitor setup. If you have any questions or anything you want to add to it, please comment it here below. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.